What's going on, everyone? Sean with the Social Media Pros, and today I have an awesome video for you guys. Here today, I have Austin Davis. He is the owner of United Exterior Cleaning, a pressure washing company that does well over six figures. And we've been doing his marketing for some time. He's also a business partner of mine in a community called Six Figure Pressure Washing. And I really wanted to do a video with him because he's found a massive amount of success over the last 5 years in this space. And I thought that we could interview him and answer some questions and maybe uncover some of the things that helped him get to that six-figure mark that might be able to help you guys out. So I'm super thankful to have you, Austin. I appreciate you being here with us. And yeah, I'm ready to get into it, man.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for having me on. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I mentioned, obviously you've been in this business for 5 years. You hit the six-figure mark. I guess my first question to you is that a lot of guys might be maybe thinking or questioning themselves is how long did it take you until you actually got to that six-figure mark where you were over 100,000 a year consistently?
Two different questions there. How long did it take me to get it consistently? And then how long did it just take me? Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, once you hit it, it's pretty easy to stay there because you have the client base.
Yeah.
At least the client base to, reach out to your previous clients. But I would say by year two, and I actually remember it was, I think 32.79. And then the next year, I believe, I was about 115. So it was about I'd say right at the 2.5 year mark, I was seeing that.
Okay.
I might be misplacing those numbers a bit. I have to go look at my old tax returns, but I remember it was right by year 2 or 2.5. I was pacing it.
Okay. So in year 1.5, you did 32, and that's a really big jump to go from 32,000 a year. And then the very next year do 115,000. And I think that's where a lot of guys are, right? I think the vast majority of at least the guys that I speak to on the phone, they're around that mark, right? 30, 25, 40, 50. What do you think, for the sake of our conversation here, what do you think was one of the single things that you did differently that took you from doing 32,000 a year to actually hitting that $115,000 mark?
This can go several different ways. I think a lot of people go on YouTube and they try to find the searchable answer.
Yes.
Like how do I do this? And then they think that if they do this, that it's going to work. I think it's a combination of probably that, but also a lot of other things. A lot of what I talk about in our six-figure power washing program is, whenever you step into, because a lot of people are going from a W-2 or an employee to this, self-employed, being a business owner and whatnot. And a lot of, finding success is kind of stepping into finding and redefining yourself, learning new skills, getting sharper, getting stronger. I mean, a lot of times it's, you kind of have to reinvent yourself. A lot of people don't even know how to talk to people. And they think that someone who is kind of an introvert can go out there and just build a six-figure business. A lot of what it takes to do it, especially if you're a solo operator, is just talking to people. And so I think just building up those key skills. Thankfully, I came from the car business where I learned a lot about talking to people, a lot about how to, persuasion, negotiations, just walking people around a product and building value in a service. I did that for 1.5 years in the car business and I found success. So thankfully I had that going for me. But I would say someone who's, I'm sorry, to answer your question, the biggest thing on how to get there is really just picking up new skills. Because if you can take those new skills that you learn from books, from learning, diving into sales content on YouTube and just getting better at talking to people, you can use those skills and then plug in these things that we talk about on YouTube. Like, if you could put up the yard signs and the flyers and you're talking to realtors and you're getting better at Google, but what happens when you get in front of a customer and you can't do anything with that opportunity, So I think a lot of people right now, they're going for how to get the leads, but no one's quite talking on what do you do when you're in front of the customer. And for someone who's never been in sales or business, it could be petrifying.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And we talk about that quite a bit. That comes up a lot in our six-figure pressure washing community, which for a lot of you guys that are watching this and a lot of you that follow my channel, I actually haven't put a YouTube video out since Austin and I dropped this. I'll put a link down to six-figure pressure washing, but basically it is a 70+ video course that Austin and I came together on and created for the pressure washing community, more specifically guys that have not hit that six-figure mark. So if you're interested in that, click the link down in the description. But you really hit the nail on the head. because there are, I take anywhere from 6 to 7 sales calls a day. And the vast majority of guys, I steer away from working for our company, or working with our company rather, because they call because they're like, hey, Sean, I want to hire your company for Facebook ads or Google ads. They're looking for this quick thing where they can pull this lever and generate leads immediately, right? And those tools work, right? Like Facebook ads can work. Google ads, we crush it out of the park for. But a lot of you need to take a real hard look at your sales process, because we don't prefer to work with in newer pressure washing businesses for that reason. Like yours was a prime example. You had been in business for like 3 or 4 years when we started working with you, and it's really just throwing gas on an existing flame, right? Because if you haven't figured out your sales process, your estimate process, your follow-up process, how to overcome objections, you can get all the leads in the world, but if your close rate's really low and your average ticket's really low, you're not going to make any money, right? Like everybody wants leads, but really what you want to do is make more money, right? Increase the amount of money that your business makes. So I think that's a really great answer. So, and like kind of recapping what you said, like to get to that 6-figure mark, it was really, obviously leads played a role, but like refining your sales process, it sounds like is what made the biggest impact to how you hit that mark. Does that sound about appropriate?
Yeah, man. I mean, absolutely. And I just think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people need to work on. Even if you're not in sales or in business, maybe you
Yeah.
just want to go and find a partner in life. I mean, these are meet new friends and new
Yeah.
connections,
Yeah.
business world or non-business world.
Yep.
People just need to get better at these people to people skills. So
Yep.
I think that's a really, really good foundation for people to build on. And then, yes, of course, after, and that includes possibly going to the gym, changing your diet. I mean, these are like actual, like, I believe you figure out yourself first, and then everything else will kind of build around it. But I think that's huge, especially when you're first getting started, because I know a lot of people don't have previous sales or business experience. So I think that's perfect. Then once you're there, then we can talk about the lead generations, and there's plenty of ways we can go down that road. We talk about a lot of that. That's a lot of what the program's about, or at least a good portion of it is how to get a customer. What do you do when you get that customer? But certainly I think really just honing in my people to people skills and nailing what my process is. Like you said earlier, what is my process for when I show up at a door, and how am I going to lead that customer from, the first impression to the meet and greet, like I talk about, to building value in my service, to asking for the business, and at the end doing a very, very good job, and then asking for that review. And then, that's what it comes down to. And for someone who has none of those people to people skills, it can be very difficult. Man, I had a coaching call the other day, and this is a person in our program, and he's making the right steps. He's got the program. He's diving into it. He's starting his business, but he had kind of a monotone thing over the phone. Like he was kind of like, I could just sense it. Like he's nervous, and he's asking questions very, like, oh, what do I do if I get this? And I was like, brother,
Confidence.
Here's what we need to do right now. That's going to come, but confidence and talking to people, you need to work on your energy levels. It may come from, just going out there and just being more out in the world. So these are things that, I think what people think is they can just copy and paste something that they found on YouTube into their business, and it can't necessarily work that way.
Yeah. No, so I want to harp on that for just a second before we move on. And confidence, right? That is probably the single most differentiating factor between a successful business owner and not, right? A lot of successful business owners like you and myself, we come from a massive sales background where we're able to carry that over, right? And success in sales really comes down to confidence, right? Absolutely. If the Grant Cardones of the world, right? They walk around with massive amounts of confidence and ego, for better or for worse. It's also what helps us do what we do, right?
Encourage.
And encourage, right? Like it sucks, like going door to door and going out and meeting that homeowner. Like it sucks. My best advice, I guess, from my perspective of just a sales background, not necessarily giving pressure washing estimates, is it's going to be practice makes perfect, right? Now, obviously you can practice on your estimates and your leads and things like that, but in reality, like practicing on your friends and family. So, if you can find the time to like sit down with those people, right? And go through some common objections that you're facing and actually just try out your pitch. You know what I mean? Like if it's me, I'm like going around my house with my wife and like actually like role playing those situations and like doing that so much until I feel like ultra confident that I can deliver an estimate. Because we talked on this on a live that you and I did not that long ago, where we talked about the difference of like confidence in doing estimates. Like, for example, if my furnace goes out in my house and I call an HVAC guy to come out and like give me an estimate to like repair it, like I fully expect this person to show up and they're like prompt, they're like taking control of the situation. They're like, hey, what's going on? I briefly explain it, and then they're like taking over. Oh, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. Here's how we're going to resolve this. Here's how we're going to fix this. Like, if you kind of show up to your estimates, you're like, hey, like, what are you looking to have done? And you're just kind of like passive about it. I feel like it's not going to show that you know what you're doing and that you're authoritative in that. Like, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I talk about this a lot in the program on the channel as well. I mean, everyone's got friends and family that love, trust, and respect you. That's what they're there for. They're there to help you when you need things, and they're there to love on you and to take care of you and to be there for anything. And so, yeah, go to your friends and family who like, trust, and respect you, and say, "Hey, I just started this business." And there's all kinds of things that they can help you with. They got homes, they have places they can. We talk about washing and getting experience with pictures, having them give you reviews, but also, like you just mentioned, your wife and whatnot. I mean, you guys are a partnership. You guys obviously have mutual interest in growing something together, a business, and that's what that's not what they're there for, but they're certainly there to help you for these kind of things. And I think that's a great idea. If you have a partnership like that, absolutely. Take your mom or dad or a friend and just run through scenarios.
Yeah, for sure. So, I don't want to make this super long. I guess the one thing I do want to talk about, because I know that some people are watching this and they're wanting to know, what do you think when you're in the early stages of your pressure washing business? What do you think's one of the number one things that contributed to your lead generation? And I think more specifically in that range of like 32,000 that 1 year to 115. And the reason that I say that is because, like the solution that we provide is like extremely expensive. And for a lot of newer guys, it doesn't make sense to spend that amount of money that it costs to work with an agency like ours. So like, what are some of the things, or what is one of the things that you think is a really good strategy for maybe newer guys who are looking to generate leads that maybe don't have a ton of money to work with a marketing agency?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're talking about going from 30 to 70, a lot of that is going to come from getting a hold of some kind of online landing page or Google My Business, which it could either be cost minimal or free. I think going from 0 to 30 is relatively easy to do with relative friends and family help, posting on Facebook, some very minimal marketing, and just basic boots on ground hustling can get you to 30. But if we're talking about getting from 30 to 70, I think it's not going to happen by accident. I think someone making 30 grand per year part-time in their first year is something that can happen by relative ease or by accident. But if we're talking about going to some good numbers here, I think it's going to come down to taking actionable steps every single day. And I think that is going to include a Google My Business and a website. And I think that is going to include having a daily schedule and what I'm going to be doing this day to get better the next day. And what am I going to be doing this day? And this day I have yard signs coming in. The next night I'm putting them out, and the next night I'm going to go, into that neighborhood and put out some flyers. I mean, these are things that really kind of took me off. When I first started, whenever I was in car sales, I was kind of bad with the money I made, so I didn't really save too much. I was spending it all. So whenever I first started my power washing business, I really didn't have money aside. I had to earn it and then use it. So I didn't have the money to go out and do all these things. So whenever I had that 30, I kind of had to make a bit more to use a bit more for the marketing side. So once I started getting in some money, that's when I really started putting that stuff to all these methods that we're talking about. So investing in yard signs, flyers, and I talk about real estate agents a lot. I see a lot of bad things about realtors in a sense where I reached out to 20 and it didn't work. And so it's a bad idea. I reached out to over 1,200. So I always talk about, whenever you're talking about a method of doing something, chances are it's going to probably be 10 or 20 times that amount to really see results. Because like you talk about a lot, like if you're going to spend $100 on a Facebook ad, that's not enough info. That's not enough data. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that's a key point, right? Like we can try to cap it off there, but like consistency is key. And I think that even if you're not necessarily chosen the right marketing method, the consistency is key, right? Like if you focus on, ranking up in the map pack by getting Google reviews, getting 20 reviews isn't enough. Getting 80 is, right?
Yeah.
Putting out yard signs, putting out 30, 40 yard signs isn't enough. Putting out 500 is enough. Emailing market or real estate agents, like any of those things, any marketing method you choose, is going to generate you jobs. You just have to do a lot of it, right? Because if you go to YouTube or Google and type in ways to generate pressure washing leads, you're going to find millions of ways to do it. Just pick one and like really double down and really commit to that marketing method. And just, you won't really know how well it's working until you've done a ton of it. So no, I think that was some really good insight, man. I'm really glad that we were able to jump on here, do this interview. Hopefully for some of you newer guys out there, you can take some stuff from Austin. I will leave a link to his YouTube channel down in the description of this video. Austin puts out videos all the time, weekly, bi-weekly. He puts out a ton of stuff around pressure washing, ways to grow your business, tips for your business. So I'll be sure to link his YouTube down in the description of this video. I appreciate you guys taking time to watch this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.